we are not the same people for people. Who I am in this relationship is not who I've been in other relationships. And it's because what you project to me, I give back, right? In my previous relationships, if I got yelled at, you bet your titties I was yelling back. I was like, fuck you too. And we would go toe for toe. But Rick just sits there and is like, let's have a conversation.
And that makes me think to why Mary and I got into the professions that we did. And that's because we genuinely want to see change in this world. We want to see change in people. And I think change in the world starts with people changing. So if I wish ill on that motherfucker over there, then that energy's coming back to me. So instead of wishing that on the rest of the world, I do hope that you reflect. I do hope that you change. And I do wish you well because I think that you deserve to not have to show up this way with someone else. I think you do deserve nice things, and I deserve nice things. And I wouldn't want anyone to wish ill on me.
People always say, like, oh, I can forgive, but I'll just never forget. And I just say to people, what is that doing for you? What is it doing? How does that fuel you? Is that really the thing that keeps you from picking the same shit different day? Is it? Like, get real with yourself. Because actually, the fact that you continue to stay so focused on that is why you keep same shit different day.
3 women, 3 paths, 1 mission. To prove that your story is not your limitation, to guide you towards your muchness, to explore the unfiltered truths, and to challenge every bit of belief that built your mask. This is Go Be Too Much, the unapologetic space for the bold, the healing, and the unfinished, where we decide what's too much was always meant for more. So let's chat. Maybe we'll fuck around and find out just how unmissable we all are.
Welcome to Go Be Too Much, where the topic is heavy, but our minds are swirling. This is MJ and Mandy and Cassie, and we wanted to touch on some feedback that we got from a listener, and I will point out a male listener because I think that that's awesome. And what they had gave feedback on was the topic we had several episodes ago where we just kind of touched on about needs and wants. And we want to help people understand that what you want can be a need, and other people may not see that. Other people may not accept that. Other people may disagree that well, you just want that, but you don't have to have that. That isn't a need in order for this to work. Well, it very well may be. And a lot of times we will shrink, we will compromise, we will back off, we will change what it is that we're wanting to make something work because we want that outcome with that situation, person, or place. And that need is no longer just food, water, shelter. And so I think a lot of times we get told that what you want, your expectations is a lot or too much or you can't imagine that. You can't, have that. And it's, well, who says? Like you? Well, maybe
Mhm.
you can't be that thing, or this job can't be that job because it's too small. It
Mhm.
doesn't think big enough. It doesn't want, and it's okay to want different things. It's okay to say that my need is somebody
Mhm.
showing up consistently, and
Mhm.
somebody else, their need may be that they need me to like hold their hand every day, like give them some form of a touch on the pat of the back or something every day. And so a lot of times our needs and wants are communicated through the lovely topic of love languages, and that we give and do the way we want to receive. And that's where the miscommunication happens
Mhm.
because they may not be receptive to that. And so you're thinking, I'm doing all this stuff. They're thinking, I'm doing all this stuff. But you're feeling like your need or want, which one and the same at this point, isn't being met. And
Mhm.
the truth is, they're just communicating differently than you are.
Right. And if correct me if I'm wrong, I think this feedback came in the context of when we were talking about like boundaries and accountability and kind of defining what boundaries are and what accountability might look like for ourselves or within relationships. And, we discussed how setting a boundary is not telling someone what they can or can't do or how they should or shouldn't treat us, but it's like if if this, then that. If you raise your voice and yell at me, I'm going to leave because that is an activator for me. That's going to trigger a shutdown in me. And then we're not communicating. Then you're just yelling at me. So if you want to raise your voice and yell, then I will leave until we can calm down and calmly have a conversation. For someone who is not speaking the same language as me, that might be me being too needy. Why can't you just push through? Why can't you just listen? Why can't you just whatever? So for me, that's not a want. I don't want you to speak to me respectfully. That's a need. You will respect me or respect me enough to talk to me respectfully at a bare minimum. So looking at boundaries and having accountability for yourself to uphold those boundaries. Like it is our responsibility to maintain that and to hold that boundary. It's not somebody else's job to come in and set those for us, save us from our own poor decisions or what have you. And then, yeah, those goddamn love languages, it's controversial for the right reasons. And, I am undecided where I fall on love languages, love locutions of the neurospicy, neurodivergent brain development make a lot more sense, but that's probably because I'm neurodivergent. I
It's
think,
important to be
yes,
aware of.
yes. I think at its essence, fucked up beginnings aside for love languages and kind of how they came about, at its essence is trying to understand the other person, whether that is a person that you are romantically involved with or whether you understand that is a person like that loves and cares about you. Mary, for instance, understanding I'm not being bitchy when I'm short with you and I hate my fucking outfit because we decided to go out last minute because we saw a purple car before noon on a goddamn Saturday and I didn't pack any outfits to go out in. Well, why didn't you pack any outfits? You're in Vegas. Because I am who I am. Okay. Mary knows my love language, which is give me my space and let me be. And I I appreciate that because I'm sitting over here thinking, she's mad at me because we're late because I took forever to get ready because I was so upset with how I was looking or wasn't looking and that I am frantic and I am anxious. And Mary is like, okay, I'm going to say something for you, like leave that shit up here. We're going to get in the car. We're going to drive. We're going to go do the things. Both of us are sitting in this car, like not speaking to each other because we're just feeling it out, figuring it out until until we were like, all right, but Mary knows me. Mary knows that I needed that space. Mary is not going to try and sit here and talk my ear off and ask me what's wrong. Tell me what's wrong. How do I fix it? 20-year-old us.
Wasn't always.
Correct.
That actually, that is Mary. That's not MJ. Like MJ did what I did that day and was
Mhm.
like, she's mad. I thought it was just about the outfit. I had no idea about the time or anything like that going on. And I was like, I'm gonna let her do that. We gotta keep that to yourself. I'm gonna go. But Mary would have been so anxious. There was a point when things like that would happen
Mhm.
with Mandy or with a lot of people in my life. And there are still some people in my life that I gotta, like my
Mhm.
kids, I gotta work on that with, of not being like, talk to me. What's wrong? What's going on? Because I want to fix it. I want to make it
Mhm.
better. I want to work through it. And I have that anxiously attached part of me because I'm so used to the just avoidant, dodge it, don't ever come back and talk about it. And
Mhm.
not only that, but like several other negative things that happening to me in that aspect. So like it would always be very triggering. And there would be a time when Mandy would be doing that. And I would be like, oh, she's mad at me. Oh, she's unhappy. Should we even go? Like I would have been like, do you want to go? Do you want to not do that? Like, and that is my healed and healing moment because I was like, no, I was like, you do that. We're gonna go. It's okay.
And it was. Everything was okay. We had an interesting experience and we had delicious tacos and I was home in bed at a reasonable hour.
I just wanna
Yeah.
say tacos heal everything. Like, if I'm having a day, Rick's like, "Is it chips and guac and tacos and margaritas?" I'm like, "You're fucking right, it is." Like, to the point where we're having
Because
tacos for our
he
wedding.
knows, he knows.
What is
I'm
more
not
us
even going to
than
say it.
tacos and margaritas?
Yes, because he knows the level of day, like what level of day have I had? Is it a tacos and margaritas day? Is it like, hey, I just need to cook a meal for you because I know you still don't, you're not trying to cook dinner. Or is it like, are we good? And I came home and Cassie made dinner, like, because he knows you and he has learned how to read you. And I think that's where that's a theme of my therapy is I want to be seen, but I don't let adults see me. I am vulnerable with the teenagers that I work with because what I've realized is teenagers have never really let me down. It has always been adults that have seen me and told me that I'm too much or that I'm too whatever. But teenagers, particularly this new generation of teenager, is like they see strength in that. They see connection. They see like Miss Mandy is just like me. Like Miss Mandy has lived this experience or Miss Mandy isn't afraid to be vulnerable. And I'm not. Like I'm not afraid to be vulnerable with teenagers because I feel like it's important for them to see that in me. And I think that's because I didn't necessarily see that growing up. I didn't necessarily have adults that really saw me for me and understood I'm not shy. I'm just quiet as fuck because you weren't listening. I don't like nature that much. I just go there because that's the only place I can get away from anyone to be with my thoughts. I don't want to excel at everything. That's just the only time you pay attention. Like to be seen is to be loved. But to be seen, you have to be vulnerable. To be vulnerable, you have to feel safe and you have to have some self-awareness and kind of understand like what's happening with you and what that is. And I think like if you ask me what I wanted versus what I need, I think you'd probably get, I mean, Cassie, I think you brought this up somewhere, we're talking about Rick somewhere down the line of like,
Probably.
I wanted this, but I need this. I couldn't tell you what I need. I can tell you what I don't need. And that's why I always start with anyone in conversations like, I don't always know what I need. I can tell you what I don't need. I don't need your opinion. And I don't need you asking me a million questions. I need you to stay over there and let me breathe for a second. But come hug me and kiss me on the forehead. Maybe bring a snack and throw a snack in my direction. I don't know. But I think learning the difference between wants and needs comes from knowing who the fuck you are and
Right.
having people around you who see that and like lift that up and point it out to you, even when you're not wanting to have it pointed out to you. MJ.
Well, and I think it's about wanting to know other people like
Mm-hmm.
that, like not wanting to see it as just they're not meeting my needs or wants, or they just won't change, or it's not, or the other person, when you're communicating to them what you're needing them to do differently, them not taking it as that they just don't do enough, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
that, and so it's like, it's how are we communicating those things? And a lot of times we think that we're healthily communicating, but we're really attacking somebody. We're pointing out, like, when you keep doing this and this, well, you're not trying to attack, but when you start out the conversation that way, immediately they're gonna shut down. And people who are avoidant are really gonna be like, I'm out. Like you just think I suck, so I'm out. And so it's like, well, that's not it at all. Like, and
That's not
so
what I had said.
being able to communicate, I feel ignored,
There's those
or
I
I
statements.
feel disrespected, or I feel not lovable, right? Or I feel too broken and crazy. And for other people to hear that and be like, well, no, that's not what I wanted to make you feel. Like that's not what I like. What can I and then wanting to do different. So it's not just one sided. It is both sides. And it comes back again to the awareness of our own needs and wants, which really I'm just they're one and the same at this point. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, if we're
Mm-hmm.
talking superficially, I want
Mm-hmm.
them to look XYZ and be XYZ, like then you're really just in your own fucking way because it's never gonna be that. It's not. Cassie says it all the time. I'm experiencing like it's not gonna be how you think. And what a piss poor reason to not get what you want.
Well,
So,
and it comes out of nowhere because, like, I've mentioned it, like, you guys have mentioned it, like, Rick is not who I thought I would end up with, but man, is he the best fucking thing that's ever happened to me. And there are so many things that we do in our life now that if you would ask Cassie 4 years ago if she would do those things, she'd be like, "That's even a thing?" Like, that's what this life is. Like, everything we do is nothing of what the previous Cassie would do.
Jumping out of plates on a Tuesday.
I know, rappelling waterfalls, going to other countries to do that, like, you name it. Like, we live a wild life, let's just put it that way, but I love it, and I knew that I loved that stuff, and I knew that I loved traveling, but I never realized that that is what I would get in somebody and would find an adrenaline junkie, and we would just go do the crazy shit, right? When you guys were talking, I was thinking about something that I learned when I was a kid was to always shut the lights off. Now, whatever the reason may be, I have my hypothesis, but whatever. I have my thoughts. But so then I also learned that pick the fights that you have because is it really worth a fucking fight, Cassie? And I am bullheaded. I am a Taurus through and through. Like, I will dig my hoofs into the ground and I will fucking fight if I think I'm right. And so, for the longest time, if Rick didn't shut off the lights, I'm like, hey, bro, you forgot to turn off the fucking lights. And one day he looks at me and he's like, why does it bother you so much? And I was like, I don't know, because I was just told while I was a kid that you're supposed to shut the lights off. Like, I had no fucking reason other than when I was a kid, I was supposed to turn the fucking lights off. And he's like, do you really think this is worth an argument? And I was like, no. He's like, do you not love me because I don't turn the lights off? And I was like, well, no. And he's like, okay, so like, I don't turn the lights off and you leave your coffee cups everywhere. Well, are we gonna argue? And I leave my coffee cups full of coffee everywhere. So let's just point that out. It drives him nuts. But again, like tomato, tomato, he does lights, I do coffee cups. And at the end of the day, it just doesn't fucking matter. Like, we're not gonna argue about the stupid things, right? And so Rick and I, first off, we don't argue. I mean, if we have a disagreement, it lasts like 2.5 seconds because he is a master communicator. Again, communication is sexy. But I just am like, wow, like everybody else that I would have talked to would have just yelled at me, would have just done all of these different things, right? Because fuck you, Cassie. Like, but Rick took the time. And the other segue that I was going to do is when you guys were talking is we are not the same people for people. Like, who I am in this relationship is not who I've been in
Mhm.
other relationships. And it's because what you project to me, I give back, right?
Mhm.
And I know Mary has a more eloquent way of saying it, but like in my previous relationships, if I got yelled at, you bet your titties I was yelling back. Like, I was like, fuck you too. And like, we would go toe for toe. Cause again, I'm a Taurus. I am bullheaded and I will dig my hoofs in and I will get it. But like, Rick just sits there and is like, let's have a conversation. And I'm like, and then if I was doing something, especially parenting, because if you guys don't know already, I am a step parent. I have never birthed the child. And I get the kid at the age of when Rick and I started dating, which she was 5, just turned 6. So I never have dealt with a kid from, a newborn to 6. Like, I didn't know how to be a mom. I don't know. I don't know what that was, right? And so he's like, "Why do you do that?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know any better." He's like, "Okay, well, here we go. This is how we could be better about it." And I went from being unhappy and grumpy to like learning to be patient and communicating my feelings and stuff. And it's the same for Rick, right? Like, I know that he was in a relationship for 13 years with Davina's mom, and that's not to say that they didn't have a good 13 years. Like, her and I have a good relationship. I'm very blessed with my blended family. But I know for a fact that who Rick is with me is not who he was with her. And that's because when we mirror each other's energies, like, that's who we have become. And that is why Rick and I, toot our own horn, are a power couple, is because we bring out the goodness. And I think it comes from both of us healing. But I just want to put that out there to people is maybe if who you are talking to or with isn't a good match, it might not be you and it might not be them, but you guys together is not a good thing. And it's not to
Mhm.
say that either of you guys are bad people. Like, I hear people all
Uh-huh.
the time go, Cassie, how can you wish those people well? They were so rude to you. They did these terrible things. And I'm like, well, that's because who they were with me is not who they are with somebody else. And I know I can be too forgiving, but like, it really is like who you surround yourself with, your friends. You're like the 5 people you are around, like, because you get their energy. Now, if you're around shitty ass people, your life might not be
Mhm.
that great. but put yourself around people who wanna learn and grow. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna learn and grow. And so that's my rant on what all you guys are talking about for those things.
But I
Right.
mean, the mirroring is true. Like you mirror good things, right? And you bring that out and you help each other level up in that way. But that mirroring also happens when you conflict and you show those parts of you that are still insecure or broken or what however you want to look at it. And depending on how you choose and they choose to work through that, you're either going to have positive and a negative and negative charges to each other, or you're going to match up and you're going to keep building going up the ladder, right? And it is very hard to find the person that does that. It takes all these little parts and pieces to kind of be correctly aligned to get there. And in order to do that, kind of have to have all the bullshit first. And so we all hate, and hate on past experiences because, yeah, fuck them or fuck that situation or whatever. But, the truth is like, thank you. Because
Mhm.
now I know I don't want to do that. Now I understand where I could have done boundaries different or where I compromised on things that I shouldn't have compromised because it wasn't something I just wanted. It was something I needed. And it's okay that I need that. And it's okay that they can't give that to me. Then that's just where they're at. And it's not saying that somebody is better or worse than the other. It's just saying we're not going to mesh. Our energies aren't going to connect. And when we can accept that and let that go without it having the resentment attached to it, it often, I think, puts us then more in line with finding the connections that can help grow. And again, whether the outcome is whatever you want, that's not really the point. Like for me, I know like this person that I'm getting to know and stuff, like I have no end or outcome in mind. And that's an MJ shift. Because Mary shift would have been like, well, I'm only doing this if I think it's gonna end up one way and I need to know the outcome and the control and so it's like, no, I need to allow this and allow whatever experiences come from this because it's helping me grow one way or another. And whatever that outcome may be, I'll manage it when it's there. But I could be thankful and grateful along the way for these opportunities and these moments to be connected in a way that maybe I've never experienced before.
No, I agree. Speaking of that, real quick, I know Mandy, you got some things to say, but liar, your face says it all.
My face never shuts up.
But like, I think of it, with Rick and I being together and Davina's mom and her current boyfriend, like they make more sense together and they work together, right? And there's a part of me that, I do wish that him and her mom could be together so that way Davina is not a part of a broken home because I know that that has so much to do with a lot of people's identities because it is fucking hard and I see it in her cute little eyes of how fucking hard it is. And so, do I love Rick with all my heart? Absolutely, but I do wish that it could work out and it can't. And my dad passed away when I was 10 and I talked to my stepdad. I don't call him my stepdad, but for purposes of the story. And he tells me all the time, he's like, I never had to deal with, a divorce. He's like, but he's like, if your mom and dad could be together and that meant I never met you, he's like, I would want that for you because he's like, you should have that. And I love my stepdad. He's a fucking rock star. Like, I love him to pieces. But I mean, it is. It's just like going through the trenches sucks and I freaking hate it, but it's made me who I am. And I happen to like who I am today and who I'm becoming. And I have to go through those shitty ass trials to get there. And I know that I have not always been a good human. There are plenty of people in my life that probably will never listen to this podcast, but I was not nice to them and it was selfish and I shouldn't have done the things that I did. But, I've learned, I've grown, I've learned my own boundaries and things that I don't want, and in turn, I feel as though where I'm sitting right now that I am a better person because of the shitstorm that I've been through.
I feel like you guys, yeah, I'm no notes. I have no notes, no thoughts. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to process everything that you guys have said. I have nothing. My face, I'm sure, said a lot. I don't know, I think maybe Cassie, you had started it with the, how could you wish somebody well? And that always makes me think to, like, why Mary and I got into the professions that we did. And that's because we genuinely want to see change in this world. We want to see change in people. And I think change in the world starts with people changing. And so if I wish ill on that motherfucker over there, then that energy's coming back to me in some way, shape, or form because that motherfucker's still out in the universe doing whatever they're doing. So instead of wishing that on the rest of the world or wishing that on the universe, like, I do hope that you reflect. I do hope that you change. And I do wish you well because I think that you deserve, I think that you deserve to not have to show up this way with someone else. I think you do deserve nice things. And I deserve nice things. And I wouldn't want anyone to wish ill on me because, Cassie, you're right. We all have a past. We've all had a growing period. We've all been figuring it out at some point or another and not done great things, not said great things. And maybe we don't get to go back to those people and say, I'm sorry for how I treated you. But what we can do is talk to ourselves and forgive ourselves and not let that be the anchor that keeps us at the bottom of the ocean forever and ever because we don't deserve nice things because we were a shit human in this. And who you have around you is important. They bring that out of you. I mean, I've said it time and time again. Mary is a friend that I've tried to quit probably internally more times than I'd probably like to admit
Girl,
because
me
that's
too. Just ask her how many
because
times I've ghosted her.
yes, exactly, because what the fuck? And then she just will call you in and be like, "Hey, let's talk about it," or like she gives you your space. And I don't know that I've ever like had that in a relationship, friendship, or otherwise. And I need more of that. I need somebody to call me on my shit, but I need you to call me in, not call me out. Because if you call me out, the Scorpio in me will fucking end you. And that's not who I want to be. Okay, that's not who I want to be. I want to work with you, but if you come at me sideways, I will meet you with that energy. And we don't get anywhere. And that's the whole fucking point of this entire episode. None of us get anywhere if somebody doesn't decide to pivot and do something different and be different. We're all just going to keep going on this little loop-de-loo of life until we decide, like, that's enough. I went off of this ride.
Yeah. Well, and I think
People
it's
for people, right?
And I
Mhm.
think it's important to know that you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be confident. You don't need to be a certain age or anything to reinvent yourself. You can start today. You can start
Quit
this
the
very,
job.
yeah, you can do whatever you want. You just have to make that
Get the
mental shift.
divorce.
Mhm.
Yeah. My list is too long to start rattling, but, like, you can reinvent yourself, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and here's the thing, is that it gets better the more you do. We talked about that, action. If you keep doing the steps, you will get better, but you're never gonna get better if you don't try, and so you just need to make that mental shift that says, "You know what? I'm tired of this happening, where I'm at, what's happening, all the energy around me, and you can start today. You can start messy as fuck. You can start with no confidence. You can start all the things because you will get confident when you go. It will get less messy. It will get better. You just have to make that choice that it can be. And then naturally, like I've said many times, my favorite quote is by Henry Ford, whether you say you can or you can't, you're right. If you say you can't, you're right. It won't happen because your brain believes it. If you say you can, you're right because your brain believes it. Your brain believes what you tell it. I get
I
so
agree.
passionate.
Well, and I think it's with that piece about forgiving yourself, and people always say like, "Oh, I can forgive, but I'll just never forget." And I just say to people, "What is that doing for you? What is it
Mhm.
doing? How does that fuel you? Is that really the thing that keeps you from picking the same shit different day? Is it? Like, get real with yourself." Because actually, the fact that you continue to stay so focused on that is why you keep same shit different days. Rather than looking at it and saying, I don't, it's not okay what happened and things, whatever, both sides, this, that, and the other. And maybe you don't forgive them and maybe you don't forget, but you have to decide what hanging on to all of that is doing for you.
Maybe the piece is you don't forget how that felt in that moment. And I don't want to feel like that ever again. Maybe I can't forgive you because forgiveness is a motherfucker, but I don't have to forget how I felt in that situation, how I moved in that situation, and how I want to move differently because I want to feel differently. Forgiveness is hard, and everybody will tell you forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for you. And it's like it can be for me, and that's still hard.
Hmm.
Still am struggling with forgiving because it's tied to an emotion. It's tied to how I felt in that moment. And that is something that I have to own and I have to feel. Until I'm there, I'm not there.
Well, and it's also because by forgiving that other person and recognizing that emotion, it's forgiving yourself. Like to me, that is what, when we say forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you, because really what you're forgiving is yourself. You're forgiving yourself from being in that situation. I'm going to cry. You forgive yourself for doing the things that you've always done, knowing that you just didn't know different and that not all of it may be your fault. And that forgiving another person is really you forgiving the fact that this is what happened. And I had a role in that. I had a part in it.
No, I agree. I think about how well, first off, I love you. I'm sending a hug through the screen. But I think about how, conversations are two-sided. And something I have had to work on because again, I am bullheaded is if you tell me that I made you feel a certain way, I can't discount that because how you interpreted how I made you feel is yours. Like you you feel that way because of what I said. And so I've had to work on, like, if somebody tells me that that upset them, and in my head, I'm like, it wasn't a big deal. Well, it's a big deal to them, and I need to recognize that. And what I learned is about the forgive and, you don't have to forget. Like, we're not asking you to, but like you said, you do need to forgive yourself. That person can live their best life over there. And but you do, because by allowing yourself to forgive, it's a way for you to move past and move forward, and that is hard. It's hard as shit. I'm still working on it. I mean, we've talked about these
Mhm.
wounds. Hey, I cried on the last episode, I get it.
All right, Mandy, let's
Mandy,
go.
we're waiting. Where's the moment?
I cried on the first one. Y'all just don't remember.
I'll go
I
rewatch it real quick.
set it off for y'all.
But it is like we are healed and we're healing. These things, they do hurt. We're allowed to feel them. And Mary, I appreciate that you started crying or that I cried on the last one because it's something we don't do well enough, especially as women, is we do not allow ourselves to feel and to cry in the moment. Like we're like, nope, hold it back, can't let people see. And then we're like, fuck it,
Crying in
I'm
a closet.
tired. Yeah, I'm tired. You're just gonna let it go. And I have lots of respect for you doing that, so I appreciate you. But
Like, there's a lot of people that would argue. I cry all the time. Hello, I'm a Cancer and a Scorpio. I cry a lot, but
I never cry,
I
so if I cry, then I'm like, "Son of a bitch, what
cry
happened?"
if I'm too mad. I cry if I'm sad. I cry if I'm happy. Like it just happens. But this kind of cry is that forgiveness. And
It's
that
that
I
deep one.
still, yeah, like that I still, as much as I have forgiven myself, as much as I have forgiven people in my life, like I'm still working on the forgiveness. And maybe that's why we don't forget, because again, it's not a final destination, it's something we're working on all the time. But I would rather be working on that feeling that comes up and recognizing that I still have guilt and that I still have forgiveness of myself, mostly to do, than have all the anger and rage for everybody and everything else. Because again, what would that be doing for me? Where would I be right now if I was still where I was 2 years ago when my life changed? I would
Gonna
not be
think you
having a
live a pretty
business.
awesome life right now. I'm just
Like, I would not be having a business. I would not be having my home built, my dream home with a dream pool. I would not be doing a podcast. I would not be experiencing a new connection that has really positive things going for it. I wouldn't be planning travel plans. I wouldn't be thriving for my kids. So let go of the anger
it all
because
starts
the
with that
past
one
hurts
decision,
feelings.
that one
Yeah,
moment.
It's not serving you.
God damn it, I feel like you're screaming at me, Mary. Rude. It's
Well,
like,
and but that's why you say like that I was scrappy on you and keep, you know, and I do it well is yeah, because I get you in those ways. And whether you want to say it's because of our Scorpios or whether you want to say that it's just who I am, it's all of it's
oh,
probably true, right? Like,
we've talked about it before. It's 100% a protective thing. It's what has kept us safe. It's what allowed you to survive. It's what allowed you to survive those points of your life. It is what it allows me to feel safe and empowered. And for empowerment is big for me because that's what allows me to take those big leaps. That's what allows me to do the things is, and, you know, I joked about it in this one or the last episode about being petty Betty. Like, I'm fueled by empowerment, and empowerment looks different for me depending on what the day or the situation is, but it's a protective factor. Anger is protective, and we're allowed to have anger in life. I was just talking to a student today about the Inside Out 2. You know, we talk about all the emotions and how they exist in a world because we would not know joy if we didn't know sad. And we wouldn't be alive as a species if we didn't have some anxiety telling us this is a bad idea. Disgust, right? We know what disgust is because we know what fulfillment and those good things are, like the duality of everything in life. You can't have one without the other. And I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to have toxic positivity in any way, shape, or form. Life is a fiery shit show sometimes, and we can sit in that, but we don't have to unpack and move in there. We don't have to. That's not our home address. That's the PO box. Get your shit and get down the road when you have the resources and you're ready to do that. Okay. We don't have to
Mhm.
live there. That is not our home address anymore.
I tell my kid that. I was like, "You're allowed to have these big emotions. You're allowed to feel these things. I'm not discounting that." I was like, "I want you to have your moment over there,
Boundary,
preferably in your room where I
boundaries.
don't whatever's happening." I was like, "And then we can come talk about it if that's what, we normally do." Because again, I don't wanna push it, but I'm like, I want her to know that you can have these emotions. You could be pissed off, you could be mad, you could be crying, you could do all of those things because you are a freaking human. But we don't have to stay there, and we can understand what got us to that spot, right? Because it's like, did I like that? Because I tell her, I'm like, you could do whatever you want, but there's consequences for your actions. And I always love it when she goes, is that a consequence? I'm like, I don't know. I was like, is it? And because I want you to scream. I want you to just feel it. I was like, but then I also want to help you, like, okay, so we felt that. What are we gonna do?
what are we gonna do
There we
with
go.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I
absolutely.
agree, Mandy. Life's a dumpster fire.
I don't think any of us are saying and that like to not be that way or to not
Yeah.
have those things and oh just let it go. These are not the three individuals that are going to say that because that's what it's been said to us. So if you're listening to this right now and that's what you're perceiving, calling
No,
you
no.
out or calling you in, however you want to look at it.
No, no.
And I think, you guys talk about me being that person and being scrappy in that way. And I think about one of Cassie and I's favorite TV shows of One Tree Hill and the quote of that people always leave. And I think I recognize and have always recognized in you guys parts of myself that has allowed for me to stay and to say, no, I'm here and I'm going to show up. And I do that because that's what I look for, what I need. It's what I want. I want people to stay around. And so, again, if you're not getting your need or want in whatever situation, ask yourself, what are you doing for them that you're feeling isn't coming back to you? And how can you communicate that differently? Because they just may not understand. They may not know. They may not see it that way. And they may not be able to meet you where you're at. And then that's your choice. That's your boundary.
Time to get on that bus and ride it down the road to the next stop. Is a life is
Pivot.
public life is public transportation, okay? If you got to get on that bus and you got to move down the road to get to where you're going, okay? If you miss the nice bus, the nice air conditioned bus and it's August in Phoenix, Arizona, and you know that this next rinky dink bus coming through ain't got no air conditioning, well, you will be on time next time. You will make sure that you do not miss that bus to get to where you're going.
Yeah,
I
understand
always
that you're
say,
not meant for every space, you can pivot.
right. Yes. And none of it excuses it. It just explains it. And like Mandy said, you have a choice to identify and create it and have that be your identity. Or like Cassie said, you have the choice to start new and change that identity at any time. With that being said, thanks for joining us again for a bit of a heavier topic. And thank you to our listeners for the feedback. Please continue to fill out the forms. We love it, or telling us on the side through social medias. We appreciate it. We love that you're loving it because we love this. So go be too much. Go be all that you are. Bye.
Bye.